Me. Me.
This episode, we're linking up with the longtime Drury Outdoors teammate, Joe Eugster, as he attempts to pattern an old homeboy buck in Wisconsin.
Big, tall G2s, G3s just really stood up there, looked like an old Pitchfork.
Will Joe finally be able to close the chapter on this big buck he calls Pitchfork, or will self-filming once again prove to be too hard? Find out all this and more right here on DODTV.
What a giant.
This segment of DODTV is brought to you by Leupold, American to the core.
Going into the year 2018, I had one buck on the farm that I called Pitchfork. Big, tall G2s, G3s just really stood up there, looked like an old Pitchfork. So anyway, I became quite obsessed with harvesting Pitchfork. One particular encounter I had with Pitchfork, I wasn't halfway up the ladder and I look over and he's bedded down with a doe about 50, 60 yards away in the marsh grass. And I was able to slowly get up, zip the blind open, get in there, get settled, and he never left. He was just really content with that doe right there.
Well, he's still there. I had to take the camera off the tripod quick. Something's gonna happen.
Anyway, the evening wore on. I got some good footage of him, and as he was leaving, he was going up over this little hill, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful scene there.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, doesn't look like he's coming my way tonight. What a gorgeous buck. I just hope he makes it a couple more days. I'd love to hunt him in the late season. His name is the Pitchfork buck.
Well, I hunted Pitchfork really hard in 2018, multiple encounters. On the very last night of the season that I could hunt, I was really excited because it looked like everything was going to play out. Everybody came out that night. We had a big old buck that I named High Hopes.
Is over next year. Oh, that's a nice one.
Pitchfork came right by, and right with him was a year older buck, a real heavy buck.
Here comes the big eight. Big eight's right behind him. Yep. Big on him. Yep.
Didn't have a name for that buck, but I wanted to harvest that buck instead of Pitchfork at that moment because I figured if Pitchfork made it through that last night, he was going to be on the farm and he might grow into something really special.
Big on him. Yep. Think you missed him? I think I missed him. My first bit on him. How we did that.
I seem to miss a lot of big bucks, but I'm not wounding them, I'm just missing them, and I was really excited for 2019.
That big buck, the really big one, that was Pitchfork. He's got to pass till next year, and then I wanted to shoot that big 8 or 9 right behind him, and I was shaking like a leaf. Oh well, it's going to be an exciting year next year. Yep.
Well, going into 2019, knowing that Pitchfork was on the farm, I was really pumped up. He was going to be a great buck if he just put a little bit more on from the year before, and he was an older deer now. He was going to be 6 years old. As a buck gets older, their core areas get really small. They don't want to travel a long ways. They can go out and get whatever does they want. They're the king of the area. So if you can finally get a deer on your farm or your property that you hunt, and you can kind of keep out of his core area and give him that room, you can really have good success on moving in after him. Well, I was starting to get some really nice Reconyx pictures of Pitchfork, and I knew that he was cored in tight, and if I played my cards right, I was going to get a good chance at Pitchfork. Well, on the morning of October 28th, I went and I was self-filming. First hunt of the year for me, and it snowed about 3 or 4 inches. It was a beautiful, beautiful morning. As most of you know, that first hunt of the year, you usually have a lot of kinks to get out of your equipment. Anyway, that was the kind of morning I had, getting all set up with the tripod. Didn't really have that high of expectations of killing a buck on my first morning out, but lo and behold, I did a little grunting and a little rattling, and about 20 minutes later I heard something, and a little fawn, or a little yearling, came through. About 30 seconds behind him, here comes Pitchfork, and I had to move the cameras and I had to get everything set. Me. Me. I missed Pitchfork and couldn't believe it. He went off to about 40 yards, 50 yards. And he just stood there like nothing happened and started feeding and playing with this other little buck that was over there.
I missed Pitchfork. Giant.
Well, after I missed Pitchfork and he headed off into his little core area, I knew there was going to be a really good chance getting in tight on Pitchfork that night. And it was going to be the perfect wind to go into my new set that I put up just for Pitchfork.
I think I'm going to climb down. Maybe get a cameraman. Come back out in a few hours.
I was really excited about my evening hunt because Pitchfork had went into his core area and the wind was going to be perfect that afternoon. So I gave Mark McCulley, my longtime cameraman and good buddy, a call, and he told me he'd be there as quick as he could for the afternoon hunt.
October 28th. Went out this morning. Had an awesome encounter with a buck named Pitchfork. Giant mainframe. 12, 13-inch G2s. This is his lair right here, right behind us. This is where he's sleeping. This is his home core area. Never been in this spot, in this stand before. Brand new. Just for this buck. Got the scrapes ripped open here. Everything's perfect. We're gonna get it done tonight. It's gonna be awesome.
Well, Mark and I weren't in that stand for probably an hour, and all of a sudden I seen the same little buck that had come by in the morning. I knew that that little buck was probably still with Pitchfork. Well, that was my gut instinct, and sure enough, right behind the little buck, here came Pitchfork. he worked his way and he came right to kind of the wrong side of the tree. I was hoping he'd come right, but he was on the left. That meant he was going to cross our entrance trail, and I was quite concerned. When Pitchfork was under the tree and I could see him throwing his head up, doing a little lip curling and scent checking there, I kind of thought the game was going to be over. So as soon as Pitchfork cleared a tree, and I knew the cameraman was going to be kind of on him, and I didn't waste any time on letting one go on Pitchfork.
Pitchfork, 5 yards. What a giant. You see them G2s? I knew he was coming because that's the same little buck he was with this morning. Give him a little time. Good shot.
Well, after the shot, I was certain that I had smoked Pitchfork. I mean, it was right down into the broiler room, but there was a chance as he was running away. I was thinking, God, maybe I only got one lung on him, but we followed the blood for a little ways just to see what it was like, and there was a lot of blood for the first 100 yards.
Look at this. He fell here. Oh my goodness. You gotta love a rage.
But then it got a little bit thin, and we decided to back out and give him some time.
He laid down here for a second.
And then I decided to give a good buddy of mine a call, Bob Nelson. He's got a little tracking dog. He obliged and he came in. Last night I shot a buck we call Pitchfork. Mark and I figured that it might be just a one lung hit, and well, we tracked it into the woods for a ways, and then I ran into a little trouble where the blood kind of stopped. So we took the dog out. We recovered the deer last night at about 12:30, and so we're gonna go back out now and recover the deer, get our hands on him in the daylight. Turned out he didn't go another 30 yards and we found him. I was really excited to be sitting behind Pitchfork. Well, really excited to be behind a buck I call Pitchfork. As you can see, I got a lot of history with this buck. It goes back to last year having several encounters with him. I encountered him trying to get him with a bow. Never came together. Finally, on the last day of the season last year, this guy came by, and then I decided to pass him knowing that he was going to make it for another year. Well, yesterday morning was my first hunt of the season. Lo and behold, this guy comes in right underneath the stand. I'm self-filming. Comes right by the tree. I had grunted, and he was coming right to the tree. Trying to get everything in order, the different cameras on, everything, get him to stop in the right spot, and all that excitement, I missed him yesterday. And he went into his core area. So I knew I had a really good opportunity for him last night. Sure enough, he come out just perfect. An hour before daylight, we was gonna check a couple scrapes. A lot of respect for these animals, and I guess I was rewarded with this guy.
Forecasting deer movement was just the beginning, and DeerCast has evolved into so much more, offering groundbreaking new features like DeerCast Track, our comprehensive shot tracking guide, a 10-day deer movement forecast, and DeerCast Custom, the ability to tweak our proprietary DeerCast algorithm to best represent your individual hunting areas. Because we don't want to just get you in front of that perfect whitetail, we want you to be ready for everything that comes after. So get ahead of your game and stay there with DeerCast.
We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This segment of DODTV was brought to you by Ram Trucks. Guts Glory Ram.